Okay. Hey, yo, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. I don't know something about. I'm going to check on live in a second. Okay. Okay, I can see it now. Anyways, hey guys, how's it going? I just wanna check a few things already, and okay, it's already working. Let me check the chat. Hola amigos, bienvenidos directo. Hola, buenas, bienvenidos directo. Todo bien. Good you. Also, hi, doing Don Lazy. How's you doing? I hope you're doing well. Now it's been a while since the last stream. Now I can now you guys can see it. Sorry, it's been months since I made the last stream, which is on April. So I was looking for some changes, and hopefully there's no change, but it's just me and saying internet. But so far I'm good. I'm doing with some stuff, some art, some animations. I'm doing it when I was offline, when I was off screen, of course. But yeah, for anything goes well. Everything is doing fine. Everything's doing well. And yeah, today this thing is gonna be the same thing. I want not the same thing, but I'm gonna plan to do a quick short animation that I'm going to do for this live stream, and then I'm gonna show you some videos to see, to chat, to react, to entertain, and so on. But yeah, this is gonna do for this live stream tonight. So yeah. So how you guys doing? How's it going? Everything goes well. Everything goes fine. Just let me know to check in the chat so I can I can communicate with you guys. Let's see, let's see to we- let's see if there way for more people to come. You know. Anyways, I'm gonna open the Soul Stream Maker to open the file that I did yesterday. I'm doing an animation, thing. Um, Also, for those who wanna support me, I open a coffee webpage. So let me. I want to when I open the Steam, let me show you guys the link of my coffee page, so you can visit it and support, check out, and of course support me when you can. Let me let me send you something about it. Really quick though. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna put in the prime part. Okay, here it is. You guys can check. Here's the link editable. You can see in the front page. You can see on YouTube. You can click it. You can follow me. You can follow me on Coffee to support. To check out the webpage. So, yeah, let's see if I open the Steam. Okay, I think this thing has an issue, so it doesn't let me open the hub menu. So I'm gonna start to log in. It will take it will take some minutes. Okay, it's open. Let me check it real quick, and I'll open the social maker in a moment. Okay, the plan is I'm gonna do the stream just for a 2 hour stream that I'm going to do, and then I'm gonna post my show animation right here on YouTube, and of course on different more social media like Blue Sky and Twitter. That's the only thing that I have to do. It's gonna be quick. It won't take that long. It will take like 30 minutes or less. It's just a pretty quick short animation that I'm going to do. And of course, there's in the background. I think now there's rain. I can hear it in the background that there's the rain. Okay, so okay, I think it's open. Let me share the screen right here. Wait, okay, okay, I think okay. So you can see it. Okay, say I can pay that. Okay, well you can follow me as you want. Anything's free. If you want to pay, then don't pay. If you have funds, all you have to do is just follow. So to follow for free, and you will see free content and also all the content. I mean, you required to for pay, but let's just slide away for the other side. But all you have to do is follow me, and that's it. It's easy. What you're gonna do? What I'm gonna do? Just a quick short animation, I guess. I'm gonna do. It's a short animation. A 10-second clip. It will be easy, but other thing is that I'm gonna do other stuff. I'm gonna test the models. I'm gonna test other things. Um, I mean, who knows? I just want to test something. before I'm gonna do a record for some person. What is that? Oh, never mind. Never mind. Wait, just I'm gonna do something. Okay. Just a second. Wait. Okay. Shit. Sorry. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Let's go back to Discord clip. Okay. Okay. I'll open the. Right. Let's open. Da 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 da. Okay. I'm gonna copy work area. Yep. Wait. Okay. I'm gonna lower the eyelids, but it won't let me. It won't allow me. Okay, wait. Down. Nope. I don't know why. It doesn't do one effect. Okay, let's get there. Okay, there's no other. Nah, there's no other thing. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Okay, this is me, my OC. Go back to the camera. Okay, this camera right here. Okay, is good. I think it starts smooth with this on graph editor. All I have to do is select one of the body parts and oh yeah, other thing is I forgot to mention. Okay, I'll go back to the beginning. Okay, to the beginning. Okay, let me see the comment. Okay, Kingdom Daisy says, "Hey, I'm making my animation to Riot, but do the hand draw and do it based on FNAF, but fan con. Wait, let me go back to the okay fan comic. Oh, okay, fan comic. Oh, good. That's good. Sounds good. I hope it goes well in your project, your animation. I know you can do it. I really hope you can do a great job, a good job. Also, with anyway, it's coming by Real Wolf Quinn formerly. Okay, that's good. It's good. I think you're gonna do it well in your project. I hope it goes well. I wish you the best and success in your project. I mean, it's an interesting project you're gonna do. It's an animated. If it's animated, then you can do in 2D, and that's fine. And that's fine. You can do it if you're capable in that style, in animation style, in 2D animation, you can do it with your hands or any program you're going to use it. But it's interesting. It's interesting that you're going to start that project. So I hope it goes well. Okay. Camera to the body. Okay, let's start with M, and then this is go. movie 12. Oh, okay. Now, wait, we go back. Oh, shit. Okay, this is gonna be, it's not gonna be easy. I need to, I need to move a bit carefully. Okay, so this is 12, number 12, shoulder, neck. Okay, there is the neck. I'm gonna twist it. What's the head? Here's the head. Okay, let's go back. Start. This is the move. Okay, that's fine. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Fine. The hand movement is fine. Okay, the lip movement is fine. All I have to do is the camera. I need to zoom in a little bit slower in the camera, and it's a very slow progress. Okay, Tube Dove says, and others who attempts to continue and rebooting and revolving hit the most popular is Nav coming, fan coming both Spine and Delilah and Ask Goldie anything or a bit of it, so mostly someone took it down. Oh wait, sorry, this is coming. Wait, let me continue. Let me check the follow. After Wait, Grand Wolf Queen. Okay, but the title is called and it's called the anything. However, the main creator of this NAF fan comic Wolf Queen have a very who activated his social media through her allegations, and the others who attempts to continue rebooting and regardless the most popular is not. Oh yeah. I never seen that case before. That's the first time you commented. And yeah, that's unfortunate that that person who made that work got canceled and they deleted the social media to their allegations, their actions that honestly I do not approve it. I do not share and that's unfortunate. But I hope that other people who trying to revive and make a great work, and of course you are going to do the same thing, trying to revive the series. And okay, wait, hold on a second. Let me continue. Okay, due to the allegations of the main creator, these two comics they heard as Goldie anything continuation by Soul TV2, the now Snake Poison, her AGA continuation comic are potentially lost. Oh wow, man, I don't know what to say. I'm really that was fortunate. Again, I never heard this. I never heard those things, and now that you told me about the situation happened of those creators of those respective fan comics are now targeted because, because of their actions. Okay, all their actions because it's more than one person. There are a couple, like two or three people who are part of it. But and again, I understand the situation that happened, and I understand the people are shocked and reacted with deception and disappointment. And okay, so Shopper Reviso, oh, what up, my friend? Oh, hey, Shopper, how are you? How are you doing? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás pasando? ¿Todo bien? Um, Disculpa si estoy hablando en inglés, que estoy respondiendo a un amigo que está hablando sobre un caso de unos creadores de un fan cómic y él va a hacer un fan cómic basado en su obra que probablemente lo está tratando de revitalizar, o sea, de revivir la serie y honrar la obra, pero en fin, como dije, esos son casos que tristemente pasan y claro, eso se requiere discreción sobre ese caso, pero bueno. But me, I'm gonna attempt to reviving it in my 2D animation by myself, strictly independently. But first, I'm gonna make the motion storyboards and rework because I like this. This not a oh cool sure you can make your own story. You can make your own. I mean your own fan comic. Well, you said you told me you commented that you're gonna do animated with the respective models, and that's fine. That's okay, and I hope you get more the success that you really deserve. So that's the note I talk about it, and now I'm going to focus to what's on your anime. Oh yes, thank you. Of course, of course. Sorry, I was checking it in the commenting and that, and again, this is to be a curious clip that I'm working on, so it won't take that long. I'm just gonna do a quick zooming animation. Oh wait, let me. Oh, okay. Let me slow down a bit. Okay, zero. Okay, so the camera, man, the camera. I need to check the cameras. Okay, here's the camera. Okay, view. Da 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 da. Okay, I'm gonna do same thing, but I'm gonna expand it to 16 because, or maybe 15 and a half because I'm gonna wait. Okay, let's see a view. Let's see. Okay, that's so. Oh shit. Okay, let me. One, three. Um. Oh wait. No. 155, 156. 160. Okay, no. Okay, let's check this out. I'm gonna cut that part. Okay, let's restart over. It's a slow zoom in. You can see me turning next to him. Yep. Okay, stop. Okay, I'm gonna stop to 16 right here. I'm gonna chop it. I'm gonna cut it. Yes, it is. I'm gonna cut it. O and O and there. I mean, this. I'm gonna test once again to see these. There's no errors right now. Also, animation is an experience and pleasing alive than just entertainment for nothing, like just only for kids and families. That's so dumb and huge misunderstanding about animators. Well, it happens because animation is not. It's always not really easy. You just need to start from the basics. For example, you want to try with some cameras, just try testing with some cameras before you try to animate with character models because the most difficult part is the rigging. Only except if you want to try with the default animation, you just need to select with the character also to see if the model responds. But the only basic thing that I did is to do animation with the camera movement, just only that, trying with the camera movements to see the with the review. I lift the camera from down from up to elevate the camera, or maybe you're gonna spin or rotate the camera to see if the camera moves or rotates. You see the camera animates with the camera movements, rotations. Um, Even if you do find a quick resolution, you can select the timer. And well, there are time things, some examples that people will show in those video tutorials. But this is what I'm doing. I'm just trying to practice it and testing and see how it works, how it, it goes. Because the only important thing is just take some practice, like trying to try everything, try and error. It is what it is. So this is what I'm doing. Just trying to test and practicing and of course do some other things. Okay, let me check the current search shopper. So here I am, uploading my 3D art renders. Of course, yes. I mean, I saw your renders. I see you doing a nice stuff. I mean, you do. I think you're making good renders, and that's nice. I think. And yes, you see, I also do renders before I start to make animation, and of course I have to test it and of course experiment with effects and so on to see how to make a better quality, so on. Oh, by the way, TMS Hollywood are still not respecting animation, unfortunately, and other studios like ENG and Foreign are treating animation to tell a story without use dialogues. Yeah, well, I see those type of cases that Hollywood does not. That Hollywood prefers focusing on live action movies than animation, and even case other situations like including AI on animation, and this is a city most debatable case that people are talking nowadays. I don't use social media that much. I mostly use Nickel to dance and garage mode. I never had an Gmail OC. Oh well, it happens. Well, the only thing you have to do to make an OC or Gmail is convert a model from different program and convert it to Social Maker to garage mode, or you can convert it from other program to Gmail if there is a type of file required to hold it or convert it, of course. Just visuals and body language, just American animation that using pixel in illumination are not good enough to treat animation respectfully, except singers. Yeah, well, that's a fact, man. I said the point that those companies are not treating correctly the animation. Well, streamers are doing that, and they're doing it, and they're doing different types of animation. They're experimenting and trying to work because they care about to polish those animations and so on. But yeah, and I get the point of that. I mean that I see your comment, your opinion, of course. And yeah, I feel the same, almost the same thing. The only issue is that these make future and they're allowed all ideas. They're making sequels. They're not making original animation movies like they're doing in the old days. That's unfortunate, but the only issue is because they care about money over creativity. And yeah, also Japan has a huge access to animation and visual storytelling, defies the choreography, designs, the characters, and etc. Yes, yes. Also, there's the other case about Japan. I mean, the country they're focused on making better animation and better. They were sorry. Yeah, the animation in Japan is the most important thing. They just want they're very focused on the details on animation. They want to make the animation so fluently, so realistic that people get too much attention, get too much the interest. But man, I don't know what to say, but I agree with your point. Sometimes the animation on in Japan is different than America. And of course, of it, so clearly Meta, Madhouse, Bones, Science Arrow, and the studios are the best anime media. Oh, the anime studios? Oh, yes, 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 of course. See, there are companies that they're they're making those types of animation. They're making the effort. Well, naturally not that too much effort, but the crunch time situation are also involving those kind of studios. But aside of that, it's that that's not about the negative part. The positive part is they the animation is the most important thing, and the animators they're trying to do the best to improve, to get better ideas, to get the better quality, and etc. etc. But yes, I mean this is the issue about when animation sometimes is they're going down to the decency to on the climb, but I still hope the animation keeps evolving for the better. But yeah, that's it. That's my opinion, my comment. I mean, I just want to share my commentary, my opinion, of course. But anyways, okay, this is a short. This is that what I told you that I'm not gonna enforce. I'm not gonna put my my animation a bit longer because this is just for a quick experiment that I'm doing. I mean, it's just a zooming animation with my OC turning next what is goes behind. And of course, and after posting it, okay, that hobby in the okay, no, whatever. I'm not gonna do that. Shoot, I going to save it in a different file. Okay, what is it? What is it? Videos, rolling turns. Okay, I'm gonna export it on 720. It won't take that long. Hey, oh, hey, Looker, how you doing? I see you in the comment. How's it going? Oh, I'm sorry that I was doing a return stream, and I won't take too long. It's gonna be a 2 hour stream, so I'm doing a short, quick animation, a 50-second animation, and yeah, I mean this is what I'm doing. Just chilling, about to go to eat. Okay, sure, should go. Have a nice lunch, have a nice dinner. Bon appetit, and yeah, so everything good. Everything everything goes well. Just chatting with my followers and talking about animation, projects, and so on. I was thinking about making a video in my channel, but I don't know what to make right now. Well, just don't not. Oh wait, hold on a second. Do not rush. Just don't not rush. Just trying to think an idea before you're gonna do something, and everything goes well. I mean, I know you're gonna do a great video in, as one of your ideas. Okay, you're 3D and I 2D. We have different types in animating. It doesn't matter if someone criticizing which is better, but we're humans are better to animating to fight against that. Of course, exactly. That's correct. I mean, we have different animation styles, but but also we can respect to each animation style because no matter how quality or how abilities you have, you want to share with the public with a good reason, with good motives, with a great purpose, with a the goal to entertain. So yeah, that's the thing. Maybe I'll make a for second video when I get a chance. Sure, sure. I'll see you later. Gotta eat. Sure, sure. Yeah. Have a great dinner. Eat well. So yeah, take care. Yeah, I know. That's why I use Photoshop for coloring in chemical blends. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. It's okay. I mean, it's a good idea. I'm glad you're doing Photoshop to filter the renders because after finishing or posting a render, you're gonna filter it with Photoshop. If that's what you're going to do. Okay, the video is done. Sorry, I don't know why the window does not show the render progress when I finish it loading, but anyways, yeah, I think it's done. I finished it. Let me save it and let me go back. I don't know. I'm gonna remove it real quick. It's done. Okay, then it's already done. So okay, I'm gonna save the file again, and it's already done. All I need to do is find the video, which is on my files. Let me check real quick. I hope I hope this thing works. Oh wait, I got an idea. Okay, never mind. I got an idea. It's pretty too late. Oh wait, okay. Here's let me show you something. Oh, hold on. The window, new player. Here it is. What's your idea? Well, the idea is that I'm going to add a background song, and when Ron turns around, when someone from behind calls up, and Ron, okay, my OC turns and checks out and checks. Wait, no, hold on. I guess the reaction. He turns around and I guess an unexpected reaction. But I mean, the video will get won't get. I mean, the video is gonna be included with a background song from the band Go Creek. But I'll show you after the stream with the song already made and edited. Just wanna so I just wanna check you guys a real clip right now, which is now rendered animated. Okay, done. Oh wait, I know guys. If you guys watch it, you guys see it. One, two. Okay, it's working. Oh, man, I don't know what happened to the stream. So I'm back, and I don't know what happened. I mean, it's the internet issue that, and of course, the effects on the range app it really affected my internet. So I don't know what happened. This just came out of nowhere. But I wanna show the screen or the video again because I don't know what happened to the internet pretty quick. Okay, you can see it's me turning from behind, calling. He's having it. I know it's not the most fluid animation I've ever made, but and again, this is a show clip that I'm going to post it tonight, so you will see a huge surprise. But hey, it is what it is. Just I just doing a quick a short clip, and I'm gonna post it on YouTube and of course on Blogger and Twitter. It's just a safe work thing. It's just a family friendly thing. It won't be that harmful, of course. But yeah, it is what it is. Um, I just wanna do a quick animation, a quick test with that clip. But yeah, I I think it's done. So I gonna to I gonna edit it to add a song and of course export it with the already completed full video right now. But it will take uh, just like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to finish the full video and then send it. So let's see. Um, I just want to share a video from YouTube from. I don't know. I just want to share to you guys a video from YouTube and YouTuber called Sebi who make essay videos on video games. But I don't know. I know you guys want to hear or want to listen or want to react to something different. Let me know. Let me know, guys. If you guys want to check something in the comments, of course. Okay, let me check on specific videos. Make an animated video game when you use as a film. It's not a video game. I'm not making a video game just yet. I was planning to do a visual novel game made with MMV or Miku Miku Dance. But about animation, I'm just gonna do just pretty short animation. Just gonna make videos using it as a fan from now on when it's necessary. But for now, just gonna put short clips, short clips made with Source Maker. At this rate, I'm just gonna do exactly what it is. Um, let's see if I find a video that you guys can share. Oh, I'm gonna, I'm gonna look on gamers. Oh, here it is. I know you guys play Mass Effect. Well, honestly, I never played that game called Mass Effect. I never played that game, but I don't think it's a good game. It's an interesting game series that people love. They care about it. Yeah, let me know. Oh, hola, Ryan. What's up? Oh, hola, Ryan. Hey, how are you? How's it going? First time see you on stream, huh? What's up, Ryan? Oh, hi, missionary. It's good to see you people on stream. Well, I just made animation create an animated clip. It's just a pretty short clip. Now finished on Soul Maker. Okay, for me, like NC the main survival and psychological horror games. Okay, that's fine. Well, when I was talking about, I already did animated clip on social media, but I'm going to edit it few more out. But I'm going to show you guys a reaction video if you want guys want to share or want to share or want to react with me. But you'll see. You can comment the topic you wanna share. While I'm gonna share an essay video of Reykjavik made by gamers, and I'm gonna share this real quick. Also, Mercenary, how are you, Mercenary Master 6937? How's it going? I hope you guys are doing well. So I'm gonna share the screen of a video. Oh wait, no, where is it? Insert Mass Effect. Okay, here it is. This is the full video right here. Okay, here it is.
One of the things at BioWare is we always try to develop our games within, I think Ray puts it best, within a context of humility. But we do like to show off. So, in the lobby where someone new is coming in, it's nice to show off some of the stuff we've done. So,
what's some of the stuff we're looking at here?
Well, you can actually see the multi-language versions of Knights of the Old Republic. We did that in.
Despite first developing a mech warrior-like experience with 1996's Shattered Steel, Canadian studio BioWare made a name for itself throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s for delivering premier role-playing games. The original Baldur's Gate dropped PC players into a deep fantasy RPG set within Dungeons & Dragons' Forgotten Realms campaign. Two more D&D adventures further established.
Wait, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Ryan says to me, I was okay. I'm bored. Also, Ryan, any plans? And as a fan start, you'll be making. Well, today. I'm gonna make an SFR short video, and I'm going to post it right here on YouTube and in all the social media. You guys can. Well, I will share it after stream. So be patient. Stay tuned until I finish this. And other thing that what I said. I'm gonna leave it with the video I shared to you guys on screen. It's a video made by gamers. It's a story about a video game series called Mass Effect. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it with this video reaction while I working on the unfinished video that I'm going to export it real quickly. So yeah, I'm gonna finish it real quick. So yeah, enjoy the video reaction.
BioWare's command of the genre, and then came Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Considered among the best RPGs of all time, KOTOR did more than venture into the Star Wars galaxy's distant past through player-driven morality decisions and turn-based combat. It additionally ignited in BioWare developers an interest in exploring sci-fi RPGs more deeply. Thus, after shipping the Star Wars prequel in 2003, a small team spent several months laying the groundwork for what later became Mass Effect. This new spacefaring odyssey saw BioWare leverage every lesson learned across previous projects, then build on them via proprietary technology and other technological advancements of the era. Mass Effect's combat weaved in real-time elements. Squad mates were fully realized characters with unique agendas. Dialogue options scrutinized the gray area along the moral spectrum, and user choice mattered more than ever. Initially envisioned as a trilogy, Mass Effect hit the ground running with a complete story to tell, which it did across a 5-year publication history. But for many, those 5 years didn't end on a high note, and the universe-expanding narrative that followed failed to alleviate lingering tensions within the community. tensions that persist even as BioWare prepares a fifth entry featuring a familiar face and galactic setting. This is the history of Mass Effect. LucasArts presented BioWare with two options for possible settings during early discussions about the studio's first interactive Star Wars adventure. Either the then unnamed project would flesh out Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, or take place 4,000 years prior, a time period that remained largely untouched in the canon. The creative freedom offered by the prequel setting constituted one of the key reasons why developers opted for the Old Republic route, yet even that freedom had its limitations. Over time, BioWare found Knights of the Old Republic's gameplay rather limiting too, particularly in terms of audience reach. As a result, the KOTOR team's next endeavor broadened the game mechanics and abandoned the galaxy far, far away for a solar system much closer to home. These ambitions, in many respects, began with the hiring of Casey Hudson in 1998. Having imagined himself as a pilot and engineer, Hudson earned a mechanical engineering degree before entering the world of game development. The transition and discipline spawned from the realization that much of his expertise could be applied to the art he'd long admired. The young developer's first job at the Edmonton found the creation of 3D art for Neverwinter Nights. Lessons learned throughout the project positioned Hudson to assume the role of project director on KOTOR. After shipping the acclaimed Star Wars RPG in the back half of 2003, the Hudson-led crew began contemplating future ventures. Producing another space opera was immediately top of mind since the developers were itching to push the KOTOR formula in a direction befitting console-friendly and shooter-based gameplay. The crew also dreamt of crafting a new hero who would evolve over the course of an experience in a universe with no restrictions on what the character could do or what BioWare could do inside of the storytelling. As Hudson explained in The Making of Mass Effect, to achieve as much, the company needed to step away from the sandbox created by George Lucas and instead build an original IP of its own. Reaching that conclusion inspired broad concepts about creating the ultimate sci-fi experience, namely a space adventure in which BioWare would fulfill the fantasy of exploring the galaxy across an exciting story. In a 2011 sit-down with Game Informer, Hudson said he outlined a few ideas himself, then met with studio co-founders Ray Musica and Greg Zeschuk to iron out higher-level thoughts. As the story goes, the intrepid project lead pitched the idea of BioWare making its own Star Wars. Comments from Musica and Zeschuk in Jeff Keighley's The Final Hours of Mass Effect 3 confirmed the concept in its infancy was codenamed SFX. Despite having no protagonist in mind, Hudson wanted the duo to commit to a trilogy. SFX painted the picture of humanity as genetically engineered slaves fighting bat-like creatures in the near future. Players would have navigated procedurally generated planets in an upgradable spaceship and encountered each other online in virtual environments via Xbox Live. The possibility of online trading additionally factored into these talks, though the system, along with the bat were shelved over time. Recapturing the magic and wonder of Starflight, a 1987 space exploration RPG, represented one mode of influence as brainstorming persisted. Similarly, the creators took inspiration from the original Deus Ex, finding its once novel usage of shooter mechanics and upgradable skills fascinating while they assessed how best to simplify KOTOR's turn-based combat.
For the Republic!
The developers didn't fully grasp what the new IP entailed for over spent with them pondering whether or not to include sci-fi staples such as aliens, time travel, teleporting, and AI-controlled machines whose intelligence matched that of humans. It was understood that the principles of the fictional world would ultimately dictate decision-making regarding the narrative and characters, considering how the inclusion of say teleporting abilities could radically alter gameplay and every facet of the story. Once core principles were carved in stone, the project's creative forces started breaking the story. First came the notion of empowering players through their command of a military-grade starship, complete with explorable interiors and responsive crew members. Naturally, the power fantasy motif further bled into BioWare's interest in developing a hero who wore their distinction on their sleeve, a character who'd arrive on scene and instantly attract attention. Someone this important, especially within an RPG framework, would be expected to make consequential decisions and often with impunity, not unlike James Bond or the Jedi. Such thinking spawned the genesis of Special or Spectre, the in-universe organization whose agents answered only to the galaxy's foremost governing body, the Citadel Council. BioWare looked no further than the United States space program for inspiration on the type of character most suitable for the first human Spectre.
It looks like you're about on the bottom step and on the surface. Not bad for an old man.
Okay, you're right. Hamlet's on the surface, and it's been a long way, but we're here.
An elite Special Forces soldier, the hero of BioWare's original sci-fi RPG had to embody the best of humanity's military might. The studio thought it ideal that the soldier in question bear an all-American name, their surname reading as common, to avoid players focusing on the meaning behind unique. 7 names in particular were on the table, courtesy of the historic Mercury 7, the astronauts who embarked on NASA's first ever human spaceflight undertaking, Project Mercury. The program began in 1959 with the express intent of determining how well a person functioned in the space environment. Scott Carpenter, Gordon Cooper, John Glenn, Gus Grissom, Wally Schirra, Alan Shepard, and Deke Slayton were the select few chosen, all of whom eventually left Earth's orbit. In 1961, though, Alan Shepard became the first American in space thanks to his peers voting for him to receive the honor. 10 years later, Shepard took part of the Apollo 14 mission and became the 5th person to step foot on the moon. Alan Shepard being the first certainly helped narrow down the naming choice, but BioWare developers were also struck by the astronaut's reputation as tough and well-respected, traits that matched their vision of the would-be Mass Effect protagonist. Notably, a surname proved the only necessary denomination. BioWare had already decided Shepard would have a fixed name so NPCs across the experience could address the player directly. A specific given name never came into focus, however, because of the importance placed on users choosing Shepard's gender. Speaking to Amped News, Casey Hudson said the significance of gender choice hinged on Mass Effect's not being a typical RPG with a generic lead. The game's cinematic intensity necessitated a very specific kind of experience for users, driven by an emotionally resonant main character. Therefore, in deference to the respect and influence Shepard would command across the galaxy, the developers fashioned a hero that felt uniquely exciting on their own, yet personal based on player choice. Ambition on this scale informed the essence of the story structure and encouraged BioWare's writing of bigger and better storylines. The eventually settled upon narrative centralized the eminently turbulent state of the Milky Way galaxy 200 years in the future, with humans having made first contact with alien species approximately 3 decades prior. As an elite soldier in humanity's space alliance, Commander Shepard would set out on a mission to defend the galaxy from destruction at the hands of a rogue alien specter named Saren. 2 themes grounded the premise, one exploring organic versus artificial life, and the second pitting nature and technology against each other. Since drastic consequences would hang over the commander's every decision, BioWare knew the conversation system baked within the likes of KOTOR and Jade Empire required an overhaul. The very basis of Star Wars mythology meant player decisions in KOTOR hindered exclusively on the light and dark sides of the Force. A subtler approach let Mass Effect wade into the gray area. Hence, the Paragon and Renegade morality system represented in speech options intended to eschew the binary good versus evil prompts, common in RPGs. Hudson argued in an IGN interview that overly simple good and evil choices would have read as inauthentic in Mass Effect because both sides involved combat and extreme measures. If Shepard were purely righteous, they'd avoid fighting altogether.
I don't know where she is, that's the truth.
He's lying.
You better start explaining before I lose my temper.
To ensure dialogue functionality befit the game's moral spectrum, developers conceived a dialogue wheel as the basis of their proprietary conversation. The wheel presented several options, each one analogous to a distinct tone. One possible reply to an NPC showcased a diplomatic Shepard.
I am so honored to meet you.
Nice to meet you. And you are?
My name is Conrad. Conrad Werner.
While a different reaction spotlighted the soldier's aggression.
Do I know you?
No, I'm just a fan. One of your biggest fans, actually.
In-game, players could expect the conversation wheel's bottom right option to constitute the angrier retort, the more level-headed option appearing at the top right. This easy-to-discern mapping enabled a conversational flow that choice-driven titles hadn't quite mastered. BioWare wasn't convinced tighter writing alone could fully immerse players in the new narrative mechanics. Facial expressions and body movement enhancements for the digital actors further supported dialogue innovations by accentuating subtle mannerisms made possible by the use of mocap performances across all cutscenes. An added layer of immersion stemmed from the more than 300 voiced character parts brought to life by 100-plus actors. Such details expanded upon and enriched the galaxy's explorable locations. The emphasis on digital actors also proved instrumental to conveying the nuances of the morality system, and not just on Shepard's end. In previous titles like KOTOR, squad mates blindly followed the protagonist without argument, even when they exhibited the worst behaviors. Mass Effect adopted a different approach. Shepard's compassionate, selfish, or brutal actions had macro galaxy and its perception of humans. The micro effects manifested in how squad mates responded, usually because of their own motivations. Shepard's behaviors could even provoke crewmates to quarrel amongst themselves, reinforcing the already emotionally charged stakes of the story. Writer Mac Walters later admitted that perhaps some renegade or extreme choices were too grim even for players on a renegade run. He specifically alluded to the commander's optional killing of Rex on Vermeer, but maintained that the decision still held up. Walters said in a 2021 post, "If you're not having doubts, then I think we did it wrong." Not all of BioWare's technical efforts were solely devoted to overhauling the acting and conversational elements. Gameplay reigned right, given the focus on creating fun combat with broad appeal. To this end, the studio substituted KOTOR's pseudo-turn-based mechanics for something console users could easily pick up and play. The tactics and customization mechanics of an RPG delivered through the intuitive interface of a third-person shooter. The marriage of real-time action with combat invited players to pause encounters at leisure, strategically assess combat situations, and then issue attack and movement orders to squadmates. Developers made certain the tools of combat felt equally advanced, thanks mostly to the lore in which they were embedded. Notably, BioWare derived the Mass Effect namesake from the in-universe physics phenomenon that mirrors what modern physicists refer to as dark energy. In Mass Effect mythos, dark energy emanated from the exposure of a rare material called Element Zero to electrical currents. The ensuing energy generated mass effect fields, increasing and decreasing the mass of objects within it. These mass effect fields permitted faster than light travel in space and even facilitated the creation of used ammunition whose projectiles fire at supersonic speeds. As such, while assault rifles, pistols, and shotguns seemed superficially familiar in game, each weapon's high chance of overheating ensured wielding them required some finesse. What's more, special individuals dubbed biotics could manipulate dark energy through their brain's electrical impulses, thereby producing mass effect fields. Extensive training and implanted amplifiers allowed biotics to harness the effects into devastating abilities including warp, lift, and singularity, all significantly altering the flow of combat. BioWare intricately crafted every other facet of the fictional universe, too. This especially held true for how many of the alien races came to exist, though some ideas developed much more rapidly than others. The monogendered Asari, for example, were imagined as blue-skinned space babes from the start. Contrarily, according to concept artist Matt Rhodes, the Geth design took the longest to finalize. Before the writers had Mass Effect's story set in stone, the sentient synthetics weren't a machine race at all. Early concept art visualized the Geth as living creatures whose form factor resembled that of the Krogan. But the sketch that inspired the final design depicted a creepy life form with no skin, clinging to a wall. And the team hadn't accomplished much with the living creature version and thus brainstormed ways to morph the skinless drawing into an alien machine. Mechanical anatomy and wires were incorporated as the process marched on, twisting the race into an unsettling form that maintained the musculature, yet removed other human features. Rhodes revealed that while the art crew enjoyed the creative challenge of realizing the Geth, none of them wanted to see the synthetic beings ever again. BioWare's far-reaching plans guaranteed the networked AI creatures had a long future ahead.
There's always content out there for them to be able to play through, so that it kind of leads into Mass Effect 2. And in particular, we kind of have some exciting things that we want to do in terms of the story and how the story through downloadable content is going to set up the sequel.
The idea of Mass Effect story spanning a trilogy dated back to the original pitch. Casey Hudson told Xbox Gazette in 2007 the goal always prioritized creating something truly definitive. Therefore, the narrative couldn't be anything less than as big as BioWare could make it. Building the series with a 3-game arc in mind freed the developers to produce a solid starting point while simultaneously laying the foundations for a long-running arc. Confirming these plans during the initial announcement for Mass Effect was a bold move, though. BioWare fans didn't know then, but the first hint at Mass Effect hit the web in September 2005 when the company publicized its licensing of Unreal Engine 3 for a new RPG. Specifics became available weeks later during Xbox's X05 event, where BioWare unveiled Mass Effect as a 360 exclusive. Hudson later stated the 360 exclusivity hinged on a matter of familiarity, considering the KOTOR group worked so well with the original Xbox hardware. 360's substantially improved processing power and development tools made the decision even easier. In interviews at the X05 trade show, Hudson spoke candidly of larger plans, mentioning the trilogy would last throughout the 360's 5+ year lifecycle. The studio even had its sights set on deploying extra story content between releases. And the daring marketing hardly stopped there, with hopeful players eventually learning their save data would transfer between sequels. Users could expect decisions in Game 1 to have lasting consequences in the second chapter, including everything from romantic relationships and the matrix of ending variations to major narrative implications and minor side quest choices. Throughout the pre-release period, BioWare additionally boasted of Mass Effect's unprecedented number of speaking roles, the 6 character classes for Shepard, its numerous explorable planets, and the fact that all of it fit on just one Xbox 360 disc. 130 people, BioWare's biggest team up until that point, managed to make the galaxy-sized effort work, evidenced by the glowing reviews the title received upon release in October 2007. Critics lauded the RPG as a watershed moment for storytelling in video games. The original soundtrack, world building, and a voice cast including Keith David and Seth Green received high marks as well. Though frame rate hiccups, frustrating vehicle controls, and glaring lip sync issues occasionally disrupted the immersion, Mass Effect's creators made note of every actionable critique and wasted no time addressing them when the next mission for Commander Shepard came calling. In October 2007, weeks before Mass Effect debuted on Xbox 360, publisher Electronic Arts acquired BioWare and Pandemic Studios' parent company, VG Holdings, for $860 million. Positive buzz around the then imminent release of the sci-fi RPG convinced industry analysts that Mass Effect constituted the most important part of the acquisition. After all, EA needed another blockbuster since, for the first time in a decade, rival company Activision had surpassed it to become the biggest publisher in terms of U.S. game sales, thanks to the shrewd purchase of Guitar Hero owner Red Octane. An EA spokesperson preemptively mitigated concerns about how the buyout would affect both development houses. Being part of the EA family won't change the creative side of BioWare and Pandemic's games, the representative insisted in a statement. Instead, fans were told the deal would foster publishing and distribution opportunities going forward. In the short term, at least, the transition ran smoothly for everyone involved on the BioWare side of things. Mass Effect had already proven itself a critical hit, then smashed through sales expectations by moving over 1 million units worldwide in less than 3 weeks. BioWare kept the momentum rolling for the next couple of years, launching the Bring Down the Sky DLC in March 2008, followed by the game's PC release that May. Much later, the August 2009 rollout of the Pinnacle Station pack offered up Fight Club-style arena gameplay. While Pinnacle Station wasn't well received, interviews promoting this DLC gave developers the opportunity to tease the eagerly anticipated next chapter. Returning project lead Casey Hudson promised a much darker experience. Fortunately for fans, the wait wouldn't last very long. BioWare started conceptualizing Mass Effect 2 slightly before the first installment hit shelves. Based on what from sequels, it was understood that development would partly focus on polish and improving pre-existing features. The critical and user response helped narrow that focus, and also presented several new challenges, chief among them being guarantees regarding save data imports. Developers had a whopping 700 player-driven choices to track going into the sophomore effort. Thus, aside from high-level concepts and a few basic structural ideas, BioWare hadn't fully mapped out every beat of the trilogy's story. To craft the next ambitious tale, Mass Effect creators collated information regarding all possible playthrough variations. Then, the writing team led by Drew Karpyshyn and Mac Walters referred to the vast collection of possibilities when drafting storylines. Combining this method with their own creative ideas helped form a clear vision of what Mass Effect 2 would look like. And with Hudson envisioning a darker middle act for the trilogy of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, thoughts of having Shepard lead a suicide mission emerged early in development. Walters noted in an episode of GameSpot's audio logs that such a risky undertaking made the most sense for the commander in a world where consequence and choice were so integral. By the production's 3-month mark, even the Dirty Dozen-inspired concept of recruiting misfits for the perilous operation had taken shape. Dreaming up new characters and deciding which existing ones to revisit involved a long, drawn-out process. So naturally, many of the party members outlined in the embryonic phase didn't make the cut. In the audio logs video, Walters shared a character concepts document featuring rudimentary templates for figures like a crazy Quarian king who wanted revenge against the Geth but behaved whimsically about it, a la the crazy Irishman in Braveheart. This companion fell by the wayside, as did the Mad Bomber whose traits were ultimately shared between Zaid and Jack. Meanwhile, the discarded Quarian infiltrator concept that folded Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid into a single person later influenced Garrus's Archangel persona. The writers molded Thane and the Drell in the interest of creating a religious alien, bearing moody and cynical sensibilities. Additionally, Walters repurposed a Game 1 notion about Garrus to be shaped by a strong figure when conceiving the Design a Krogan theme out of which Grunt evolved. In ostensibly threading this particular motif into the birth of a character, the writer gave players an adult Krogan to raise as Paragon or Renegade.
Human. Male. Before you die, I need a name.
By this juncture in development, BioWare hadn't defined the precise nature of the suicide mission, only knowing Shepard an assault on Planet Fortress, whereupon multiple beloved characters would die if players didn't play their cards right. But not until gray boxes started littering early builds did BioWare think to split recruitment into 2 steps, a character's acquisition being the first, and the second constituting an optional loyalty mission. Significantly, this dual-phase process addressed complaints equating Mass Effect 1's numerous side quests to tedious chores with little bearing on the otherwise fascinating A-plot. Every recruited character in Mass Effect 2 presented Shepard with a personal problem, the resolution spanning a loyalty mission whose completion guaranteed the squadmate's allegiance. As an example, Cerberus operative Miranda Lawson requested help securing her sister's safety. Long Adquires coveted the chance to pursue the man who betrayed the vigilante squadron he once captained. Mass Effect developers viewed each of these character-driven vignettes as a means of tying sentimental side plots into the mainline epic mission, given that assisting a companion raised their chances of survival during the endgame. Recruiting Normandy crewmates, gaining their loyalty, prepping for the third act assault. Such narrative underpinnings, albeit critical, consumed only a part of the broader story crafting challenges. For one, leads shaped the sequel using an unconventional narrative structure they knew ran the risk of not working. Where games typically relegated the team-building portion to the first act, Mass Effect 2 boldly stretched the recruitment arc across 3/4 of playtime, leaving the final stretch for the group's battle preparations and assault. At the very least, BioWare had its patented beat-to-beat storytelling, which manifested in the so-called covenant between players. Lead cinematic designer Armando Troisi detailed the covenant in a 2010 discussion with Games Radar, outlining how the unspoken agreement relied on specific rule sets. First, the predictable positioning of interface choices was non-negotiable, so dialogue options in the conversation wheel always appeared where players anticipated. Secondly, every choice needed to produce the expected outcome, effectively ensuring users never killed their favorite character by accident.
Let me make this perfectly clear. This is not acceptable.
Oh, my foot! You shot my foot! Ah!
That shot barely grazed you, you big baby. Sorry, my father was a Krogan.
Finally, BioWare developers held fast to the notion that they were telling the player's story, not their own. This covenant resurfaced in Mass Effect 2, though updates to the conversation and Paragon and Renegade systems evolved the established formula with a few extra flourishes. Quick-time event-driven interruptible dialogue as well as mid-action chatter motivated many of the revisions in question. Marketing speak during the original title's pre-release cycle touted dynamic interrupt options that BioWare eventually realized it couldn't properly support. Ergo, players facilitated Shepard cutting people off by hitting the X button on 360, speaking character. Another, more intricate instance invited the user to interrupt a hostile reporter by having the commander punch them mid-scene. In questions from PC World, Casey Hudson cited the need for the development of additional content that corresponded to every interrupt as the reason why interactions like the infamous reporter sequence were limited. Developers resurrected and improved upon the concept in the sequel, dotting interrupt actions across the game in situations where it made sense for Shepard to react physically. The elective actions popped on screen as QuickTime events mapped to trigger buttons, with Paragon behaviors appearing on the bottom right.
Besides, I just spent 50 credits on this pistol, and I want to use it.
Get your money back.
And Renegade on the bottom left.
I've got nothing more to say to you. If you shoot me, my team...
This new functionality introduced a level of dynamism previously unseen in BioWare properties. Further still, the studio sought out ways that could vary the pacing of conversations and sidestep Game 1's repetitive stationary dialogue sequences. Injecting conversational exchanges into intense action segments solved the problem tenfold, in that shootouts occasionally saw Shepard and company ducking behind cover and yelling at each other over gunfire.
What the hell are you doing?
Opening the gate.
Enhancing the decisions that fed the dialogue system scratched off another bullet point in BioWare's long list of goals. The result was a battery of sophisticated user choices, less about being good or evil and more about the agonizing choice between sacrifices. Writers thus constructed scenarios wherein the commander faced choices divided between personal sacrifice and actions of brutality, with the latter eliciting quicker solutions at significant cost to someone else. Arguably more so than the first installment, the outcomes of such moral dilemmas rested solely on a player's personal values. In the end, BioWare's expansive tinkering with the Mass Effect morality and conversation system received near universal praise. The radical rework of the gameplay mechanics and menus proved rather divisive. Following following the 2007 debut, developers pored over reviews and forums for feedback. They cut and pasted the commentary into one massive document, cataloging various perspectives and critiques to create a blueprint based on what players wanted from Mass Effect 2. On top of the troublesome Mako vehicle, performance issues, and unrefined morality system, BioWare developers identified the gameplay as a major point of contention, then set about rectifying the problem. Mass Effect may have positioned itself as a role-playing game with heavy shooter sensibilities, yet the shooting left much to be desired. Weapon accuracy, for instance, mattered very little. So long as Shepard's comically large crosshair hovered over an enemy, players were bound to hit their target. Having been a programmer on the 2007 entry, Christina Norman assumed the role of lead gameplay designer for the sequel and worked alongside her team to establish a new status quo. Norman's crew used the original outing as a foundation and aimed their sights at the combat mechanics first. RPG systems were shut off at this early stage of production, a period in which approximately 3 months went into determining the best practices for evolving Mass Effect's combat. The gameplay lead told Games Radar the intent centered on ignored labels and prioritizing making a great interactive experience above all else. Achieving shooter and RPG balance no longer held the weight it did when development on the series began. As such, where Mass Effect 1 was more of an action RPG, the second project came together as what Games Radar dubbed an all-out shooter RPG, courtesy of an overhaul founded on 3 fundamental goals. One objective mandated combat be playable in real time without the player needing to pause. The next highlighted the importance of intuitive cover mechanics, and the third pushed for guns that handled well as soon as they were unlocked, no upgrades necessary. With basic parameters in place, Norman said fleshing out the shooting came first, not in priority, but in order, since it was understood that BioWare, in its inexperience with shooters, would require as much time as possible to drastically improve those mechanics. Successfully executing these ambitions hinged on supplying players with more satisfying combat. More accurate and powerful Level 1 weapons seemed ideal for meeting this standard, though it ultimately ended with Mass Effect 2 taking the RPG out of the shooter. In the same Games Radar discussion, Casey Hudson expressed dissent, questioning whether combat in the sequel deserved the radically different descriptor. From his point of view, the experience still offered a third-person shooter that let players issue tactical squad commands. Hudson argued the overall feel and quality of combat constituted the real difference, which resulted from a series of small changes, not a wholesale radical redesign. The action just played so much better that players actually perceived it as radical change. One such small adjustment altered the function of ammo between the 2 games. Barring overheating concerns, bullets were what BioWare called free in Mass.
Okay, but I'm gonna pause there for a sec. I see right message that says, "May I have a FHW suggestion video if there's a chance?" Okay. Okay, let me. Okay, about the message, yeah. So I confirm that I will make a suggestion after the live stream, and maybe after the video I'm going to post after the live stream, I will make a random suggestion of yours. So just give me a little bit of time and patience. So probably I will begin the end somewhere so we can communicate about your suggestion. So, but don't worry, I will make that in this week or the next one. It depends. So yeah, I think there's time to pose some suggestions, of course. I mean, I'm doing requests at this moment, but just in case, of course. Okay, so let me play again.
Mass Effect 1, enabling instances wherein users could spam the trigger during firefights in hopes of landing shots with nothing to lose. Said practice produced outlandish combat encounters. However, Norman's team initially had no intention of reworking ammunition design. The sequel only implemented ammo clips and reloading after Hammer tested the waters in secret, though neither Norman nor Hudson approved the initial pitch. both concluded the modifications would amplify combat's tension and pacing. The inventory system similarly received a revamp brought on by internal beliefs that Game 1's inventory was a pain to navigate. Developers decided a mere fresh coat of paint wouldn't do the trick. Whatever the new system entailed had to support Shepard and up to 12 squad members. The gameplay crew researched inventory functionality across several other games, their endeavor proving fruitless because nothing else could manage Mass Effect 2's huge character roster. Iterative design processes begat a simple squad inventory system, whereby someone like Tali could use a certain shotgun without taking it away from other companions. BioWare thought the new inventory set up a triumph over the old, which made players juggle hundreds of pieces of equipment that barely had a material effect in-game. By contrast, every gun in the second Mass Effect boasted a unique feel, with some guns drawing comparisons to Gears of War weaponry. Every one of these changes contributed to fan discourse that accused developers of abandoning Mass Effect's RPG roots. But even BioWare faithful who longed for the gameplay mechanics of old recognized the 2010 installment had considerably raised the bar for quality in AAA video games. EA and BioWare formally announced Mass Effect 2 in March 2009, hailing it as a dark second chapter replete with stunning plot twists and no-holds-barred action. First details reiterated the promise of importing save data, yet while past choices would haunt Shepard's footsteps, the 150-person production crew had also gone through great pains to ensure the next chapter looked and ran better. Unreal Engine 3 once again provided the base technology with which the studio optimized its CPU usage, enhanced the graphical fidelity, boosted the frame rate, and improved upon the camera to guarantee precise aiming and body part-specific targeting. Of course, Mass Effect 2 developers touted a host of other changes throughout the marketing campaign. They replaced the universally despised Mako with a different ground vehicle whose movement mechanics technically resembled that of Shepard, as opposed to the physically simulated nature of the original six-wheeled tank. Biotic abilities received appreciable updates that modified their functionality. For instance, Warp, which primarily inflicted damage in Mass Effect 1, returned with the additive quality of detonating biotic powers already whittling away at enemy defenses. Even the crew's workflow became streamlined between games, something Casey Hudson had anticipated prior to the first game's release, given the exorbitant amount of time dedicated to establishing a technological basis. However, development on the project wasn't without its fair share of troubles. The recession that lasted from late 2007 and into 2009 impacted BioWare's day-to-day, just as it did the rest of the industry. Hudson claimed that the studio had to reassess costs and find ways of battling through the noise without sacrificing the overarching vision. Mass Effect 2's creators contended with the 2009 H1N1 pandemic as well. In fact, during the final stretch of production, a significant number of staffers were out sick. Despite the setbacks, BioWare delivered this time in January 2010 on PC and Xbox 360, where it was met with the highest acclaim from critics and players alike. Most applauded the gameplay overall, lavish visuals, and engaging exploration. Storytelling garnered the most compliments, being labeled an extraordinary breakthrough that one outlet said represented the future of storytelling in video games. In short, BioWare's daring experiment with the structure of main missions and side quests paid dividends. The wait was on to see whether or not the trilogy as a whole would stick the landing. As its launch year pressed on, Mass Effect 2 enjoyed many more highs, notably selling an impressive 1.6 million units by June 2010. The acclaimed Overlord and Lair of the Shadow Broker expansions further cemented the sequel as a beloved adventure. Mass Effect's middle outing received a second wind when, after months of confusion and seeming misdirects, it arrived on PlayStation 3 in January 2011, complete with improved graphics by way of technological upgrades that leveraged the upcoming Mass Effect 3 engine. All the while, BioWare was hard at work on the series finale, Casey Hudson shared the news during a CES interview in January 2010, wherein he divulged to IGN that he and the crew were busy building the first bits of the story. As it happened after Game 1's release, the developers reserved time to comb through and document Mass Effect 2 opinions shared in the comments of forums and YouTube videos before crafting a database of information that would help guide production. BioWare intended on finishing the project fairly quickly, though not at the cost of delivering an epic conclusion where everything players had accomplished finally came to fruition. Previously, community requests resulted in inventory improvements as well as the addition of Garrus and Tali as optional love interests. For Game 3, the uproar about the diluted RPG mechanics inspired gameplay designers to revisit the franchise's core systems, with producer Jesse Houston admitting they cut a little too deep with that in Mass Effect 2. Still, there existed a relatively even divide between fans who preferred Mass Effect, the shooter, over Mass Effect, the RPG. Thus, finding the perfect balance took precedent yet again. Customization became more prominent and intuitive. Skill trees received extra depth, and various combat additions encouraged users to adopt new playstyles. For example, demands for better close-quarter combat prompted the creation of the Omniblade, a melee weapon designed for hand-to-hand encounters and stealth attacks. BioWare expanded on the primary cast of characters to boot, introducing new squad mates alongside additional romance possibilities for both male and female Shepard. Of course, the developer made sure players would be able to reunite with old flames and tie up loose ends, too, all to build towards the long-awaited finale. The first glimpse arrived in December 2010 after pre-orders for Mass Effect 3 mistakenly appeared on the EA storefront. A blurb on the product page warned of Earth burning amidst the series' lead antagonists, the Reapers, unleashing devastating attacks on the human home world. A teaser trailer set in London soon thereafter showcased these details in cinematic fashion during the 2010 Spike TV Video Game Awards. The teaser ended with the promise of a holiday 2011 launch window. Suffice it to say, Mass Effect faithful were thrilled, and the marketing in the year plus leading up to release leaned on that enthusiasm. Developer interviews insisted Shepard's final act would mark the biggest and boldest yet, such that 40,000 lines of dialogue had been recorded, twice as much as the 2007 debut. Following fan requests, the female version of Commander Shepard, lovingly nicknamed FemShep, started appearing in marketing materials, particularly receiving her own Take Earth Back trailer and reversible box cover art. And, naturally, speculation about how things would end grew to an all-time high, some of it driven by BioWare repeatedly impressing upon audiences that Mass Effect 3 was a game about war. Lead writer Mac Walters restated this motif years later, revealing he'd pinned a Winston Churchill quote on the door of the in-studio writer's pit to accentuate how every main mission, every side quest, all facets of the experience existed within the context of a war story. That many of the narrative's finer points depended on user choices in the first two games, simultaneously elevated and complicated the storytelling in this regard. BioWare accepted the challenge, evidenced by Casey Hudson boasting to Game Informer that the conclusion was not even in any way like the traditional game endings, where you can say how many endings there are or whether you got ending A, B, or C. This quote would haunt the trilogy's last act when it landed on shelves just 3 months later. After a delay pushed its release out of the originally planned holiday 2011 timeframe, Mass Effect 3 arrived on PC, PS3, and Xbox 360 on March 6, 2012. Controversy hounded the title from the start, as frustrated community members pilloried BioWare and EA for deploying Day 1 DLC featuring a crew member and side quest. Titled From Ashes, the content, according to data miners, had apparently existed in the initial build before being removed. Hudson denied the accusations, claiming developers produced From Ashes in the 3-month period between the content complete phase and shipping. Regardless, few forgave the timing and the $10 price tag, since the mission felt so integral to the main game. from ashes, introduced a Prothean soldier named Javik who'd lain dormant in cryogenic stasis for 50,000 years after the Reapers destroyed his civilization. Many thought being charged extra at launch for answers to a series-long mystery was more than problematic. To BioWare's chagrin, this specific talking point became the least of its worries.
Hi, I just beat Mass Effect 3, and I'm just here to give a little opinion on it, and it's fair to say I'm pretty pissed off.
Those last fucking 10 minutes that nearly ruins the entire franchise.
I put in 60 hours of work for this bullshit.
Where's the dialogue circle? How can I ask him the questions I need to ask him? How can I tell him to go fuck off?
If I was Dr. Zoidberg right now, I'd say your ending was bad and you should feel bad.
And I'm going to show you my problem with the ending. Here's my illustration of the ending.
That's it. They don't like, some people don't like Mass Effect 3's ending, so they want a petition to change it.
I think that the only way for BioWare to back out of the kind of bungle that they did with the ending is to have this be what happened, is that Shepard is indoctrinated.
What?
Yeah, well, we should, I guess it's a little late.
Nothing dogged Mass Effect 3 more than its ending. After leading Earth's all-out assault on the invading Reaper forces, Commander Shepard ended up on the Citadel, the seat of galactic power in space. Shepard defeated another longtime foe, bid farewell to a dear friend, then found themselves faced with an impossible choice. That choice was divided into 3 options: control, destroy, and synthesis. The control ending obliterated Shepard, but put the Reapers under their destroy wiped out all synthetic life, including the Reapers and fan-favorite characters such as AI companion EDI. Synthesis merged synthetic and organic life, creating peace across the galaxy that guaranteed nothing like the Reaper threat could ever reemerge. Players immediately voiced their outrage, a furor that boiled over when the community realized all 3 color-coded endings preceded cutscenes with no real discernible differences. Suddenly, fans felt as though their decisions across the trilogy didn't actually matter. The user who selected the blue-tinted control option viewed a cutscene depicting the pilot of Shepard's ship landing on a mysterious jungle planet. Those who went with the red-colored destroy choice encountered the same footage. Anyone who settled on the green synthesis ending didn't see anything different except for EDI stepping off the ship alive and well. Mass Effect forums lit up with anger, confusion, and hurt. 5 years of heartfelt and painstaking endgame choices had built to a payoff many considered insufficient and poorly written. A movement called Retake Mass gained traction online, starting with a Child's Play fundraising initiative geared towards changing the ending. Donors lent a cumulative $80,000 to the cause before the charity's organizers shut it down. Still, the protest showed no sign of stopping. Some fans launched and signed online petitions. Developers sat on the receiving end of harassment and death threats. Famously, one person sent 400 cupcakes to studio headquarters, topped in either blue, green, or red frosting. The letters A, B, or C also appeared on each treat, referencing Hudson's infamous comment to Game Informer. BioWare staffers weren't allowed to partake. Instead, leads donated the massive dessert order. While some employees found the sarcastic gesture humorous, others thought it. Suddenly, the retaliation had moved beyond the digital world and into their physical workplace. Hudson addressed the community-wide fury in a chat with Digital Trends less than a week post-launch, almost welcoming the polarizing reaction as a director who didn't want the game to be forgettable. From his perspective, the endings fostered interesting debates about what they meant and what would come next. He opined, "That, to me, is part of what's exciting about this story. There has always been a little bit of mystery there and a little bit of interpretation." Speaking on behalf of BioWare, Hudson shared a more comprehensive response in the ensuing days, acknowledging the challenges of finishing a trilogy that had to live up to a lot of expectations, particularly as a resolution to countless player choices. In turn, the studio designed Mass Effect 3 as a series of endings to key plots and storylines, culminating in sequences that highlighted the consequences of Shepard's actions. Developers hoped fans would carry that knowledge with them while experiencing final moments. And as for those upset about no option triggering a happy ending, the brand's executive producer said BioWare always believed the magnitude of the conflict along with the underlying theme of sacrifice, should prompt a bittersweet ending because the alternative would betray the agonizing decisions Shepard made along the way. The message ended by appealing to passionate fans who needed closure and more time to say their goodbyes. So in upholding BioWare's reputation for acting on feedback, Hudson assured future DLC would seriously consider those grievances. BioWare detailed its intentions with the extended cut announcement in mid-April. This free DLC went live in June 2012, adding new cinematic sequences and epilogue scenes, brimming with deeper insights so players could better understand the resolution of their personal journey. By and large, the community received the extended cut better than the original endings. However, some fans refused to budge, many of them more moved by the indoctrination theory, which speculated the ending was all in Shepard's imagination. Comprehensive breakdowns explaining the theory have suggested the Reapers gradually brainwashed the hero over time. But no amount of supplemental insights or internet hypotheses could answer the pressing questions that lingered. Clarity about what went wrong and why slowly bubbled to the surface in the years that followed.
The Reapers are mine. They are my solution.
Solution? To what?
Chaos.
A contingent of Mass Effect faithful have blamed the writing and certain writers for the third game's divisive narrative. Drew Karpyshyn, the original story lead, exited Mass Effect after finishing his work on the sequel and returned to Star Wars lore to write BioWare's The Old Republic MMO. He departed the company outright in February 2012, having had no involvement in the direction of Mass Effect 3. Instead, Mac Walters' role, his vision veering from what his predecessor once loosely conceived. Karpyshyn provided an overview of those initial plans during a discussion with Video Game Sophistry, but confessed he never fleshed out the idea. Broadly, the famed writer imagined the plot of Game 3 expanding upon the dark energy that gave biotics their powers. One concept posited that the Reapers repeatedly wiped out organic life because evolution saw organics abuse dark energy to the point of causing an entropic effect that would hasten the end of the universe. A more developed rendition of the idea imagined the Reapers as a force driven to prevent the opposite of the Big Bang from occurring. BioWare considered these possibilities, yet went in a different direction. Nevertheless, Karpyshyn defended the final product and warned fans against growing attached to what could have been, given that the concept he helped author probably wouldn't be what people wanted. The developers who were directly involved had none of their ducks in a row by the end of 2010 either. Mass Effect 3 underwent multiple ideation phases and script rewrites throughout its roughly 2-year production cycle. Audiences bore witness to just how much changed over the course of development when story files leaked in November 2011. The leak spawned from data-mined files in an Xbox Live beta build and featured a document breaking down the narrative. Part of the leaked script envisioned the Prothean Javik as the catalyst, the weapon in-universe experts believed could eliminate the Reaper threat. Shepard, in a mission mirroring the From Ashes DLC, would have partnered with an unnamed Spectre while investigating reports of Javik's stasis pod being unearthed, before later killing the Spectre to protect the ancient alien. BioWare explored the repercussions of this standoff further along in the script, with the survivor of Mass Effect 1's Vermeer mission, Kaidan or Ashley, turning on their former commanding officer because of their friendship with the deceased Spectre. Narratively speaking, higher stakes were even woven into the battle on the Asari homeworld of Thessia. The older script proposed destructible environments acting as the backdrop to a confrontation in which Shepard would have been forced to choose between rescuing the peeved Vermeer survivor or fan-favorite crew member Liara. The would-be user choice landed on the cutting room floor, while the fall of Thessia itself got pushed to a point later in game. With respect, Walters divulged that an earlier iteration followed Mass Effect 2's footsteps, right down to an endgame boss battle against a monstrous creature. Instead of a supersized human Reaper, players would have reached the Citadel and stumbled across the ghastly embodiment of a Reaper-elusive man hybrid. The lead writer told Eurogamer they scrapped the boss fight altogether because it didn't feel appropriate for where we were. So why did the initial final act leave off on such a dissatisfying note? Developers who've spoken with YouTube channel People Make Games blamed part of the problem on Mass Effect leads not finalizing the endings until late in development. It was also a reason that since each ending sequence drove up costs, Reusing assets laden with a different color grade made the most budgetary sense and explained the glaring similarities of the finale segments. Specifics aside, grievances about the color-coded selections weren't necessarily without merit. BioWare Montreal's animation director Dave Wilkinson used the blue, red, and green highlights for embryonic storyboards he drafted after receiving an ending overview from Casey Hudson. When people make games question the origins of the color, Wilkinson stated they were primarily meant to help him differentiate between the trio of choices. Blue represented the trademark Paragon option. Red was indicative of the Renegade choice. Green just so happened to be the other shade he relied on. Wilkinson brought a different vision of the endings to life in his first storyboarding phase. Due to the cybernetic implants embedded within animation director's original draft visualized a scene where upon plugging his or herself into the Citadel's main console, the commander conferred with the Queen of the Reapers. This character, that never appeared in any version of the final cut, would have been locked away by her subjects thousands of years ago amidst contempt about her ideas for the future. Believing her people too limited by their AI nature, the Queen would present Shepard with the option to evolve everything. Here, Mass Effect's Paragon and Renegade morality scale would have proven more integral compared to the launch endings. The storyboards imagined the Red Renegade decision as one where players ripped Shepard out of the console to blow up the Citadel, and Earth by proxy. At the very least, Renegade guaranteed the Reapers' destruction and survival for organics. Meanwhile, the Paragon approach resembled the Blue iteration players experienced at release, with Shepard controlling the Reapers, albeit they'd turn into Big King Reaper as a result. The green ending Wilkinson storyboarded actually paralleled the eventual synthesis option, though the unreleased version combined and spread across the universe the best parts of the Queen and Shepard. Had BioWare taken this route, the cutscene would have concluded with an Asari mother and daughter coated in green tech, reminiscing on Shepard's galaxy-saving adventures, much like the Stargazer epilogue starring Buzz Aldrin. At some juncture in development, after the drafting of the leaked script and Wilkinson storyboards, BioWare executed sweeping changes. Changes that introduced the tragic death of a child on Earth who haunted Shepard's dreams throughout the game, then later reappeared as the embodiment of the Reapers to expound on why the AI-driven aliens repeated cycles of total destruction every 50,000 years. In reflecting on the conclusion for A Peace with the Gamer, senior gameplay designer Patrick Moran claimed he and a good number of Mass Effect team members pushed back when reading the last story beats. Moran emailed higher-ups to challenge the direction and received no reply. Mass Effect 2 and 3 scribe Jay Turner, who left before BioWare set the ending in stone, recalled his misgivings upon learning of the resolution secondhand. On the other end of the spectrum, writer Chris Hepler appreciated how the endings embraced the space magic of it all. Despite the studio's efforts in the extended cut, the ending remained a muddied affair. Much-beloved DLC expansions like Leviathan and The Citadel helped smooth some of the edges. But for many, Mass Effect 3 marked BioWare's first major misstep with the series. The incredibly fast turnaround time between the third game's release and the extended cut was only possible with a crippling crunch schedule, which saw BioWare employees log extra long hours for several weeks. Studio morale consequently took a hit, even as the title broke sales records and generated millions of dollars in revenue. Mass Effect 3 had suffered under the weight of managerial issues, yet trouble of another kind reportedly started surfacing on the project as well. BioWare opened a Montreal-based office in March 2009 to help support the second game. About 30 people joined the slowly growing staff, half of whom were transferred from headquarters in Edmonton. In confirming the news, co-founder Ray Musica said the move presented a huge opportunity to leverage Montreal's talented development scene while supplementing BioWare's existing teams in Edmonton and Austin. The Montreal satellite got its feet wet by building half the cinematics for Game 2 and most of the N7 missions. At EA's behest, though other developers have labeled it a Casey Hudson idea, BioWare investigated multiplayer possibilities for the final installment, tasking the Montreal division with working through the specifics. The newer office may have incubated Mass Effect 3's multiplayer suite. However, the online functionality actually began as a separate, standalone experience entitled Mass Effect Team Assault. Patrick Moran, the first designer to prototype Team Assault, divulged information about the canned project in February 2021 during talks with The Gamer, recalling a digital-only multiplayer title similar in scope to Battlefield 1943. The series' trademark third-person action had been replaced with first-person shooter mechanics, and according to Moran, progress was tracking nicely for a time. He alleged BioWare HQ swooped in just as Team Assault hit its stride, assuming control of the multiplayer game at Edmonton and effectively canceling the standalone. While developers integrated much of Team Assault's design into the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, the shared effort between the two studios escalated the already simmering tension. The senior gameplay designer attributed the bad blood to the Edmonton crew's disappointment at BioWare Montreal's establishment. Apparently, there existed an Anglophone versus Francophone rift, some of it exacerbated by internal fears that it was the beginning of the end for Edmonton, the one game studio in town at the time. Moran claimed Edmonton staff acted on such frustrations by undermining Montreal's work and disparaging the outfit, specifically calling it a gong show not to be trusted with a Mass Effect brand. Despite hostilities across the organization, BioWare managed to deploy an impressive multiplayer suite in Mass Effect 3 that even initially skeptical critics and fans applauded. That the space opera's epic finale came packaged with a simple yet fun squad-based horde mode was a surprise in an era bogged down with single-player games boasting generic multiplayer offerings. Proud of his work on the project, Moran called the mode's success a testament to Hudson's relentless commitment to quality. And its enduring online presence further highlighted how well BioWare, at large, executed on the concept of players joining the front lines to beat back galactic threats. Unfortunately, the tension that strained the online suite's development eventually plagued Mass Effect Andromeda. On top of contributing to Mass Effect 3's single-player and multiplayer campaigns, BioWare Montreal also designed the Omega expansion. The steady increase in responsibility led to the developer helming a new Mass Effect title, which Montreal studio director Yannick Waugh teased in a November 2012 blog post. Waugh couldn't share concrete details, but confirmed the original creators at Edmonton would support his team's efforts to ensure a proper and effective transition. Casey Hudson remained involved in an executive producer capacity, with a project director working under him in Montreal to drive day-to-day operations. What's more, Waugh insisted the core pillars for the IP would go untouched, meaning players could expect the return of an expansive, explorable galaxy, alien races, and cinematic storytelling. The Frostbite engine, known for powering DICE's Battlefield games, provided the technical basis for the unnamed Mass Effect endeavor. On the surface, it seemed a reasonable fit, considering BioWare's Dragon Age Inquisition developers had utilized and modified Frostbite 3 for their needs in the 2014 RPG. The premature announcement was, in part, intended to notify development communities that the Montreal group would soon begin staffing up. However, at this juncture, the title, codenamed Contact, remained in the nascent stages of pre-production, its existence having spawned from Hudson convening with a small group of BioWare veterans post-Mass Effect 3's release to iron out next steps. According to a 2017 Kotaku report, Hudson and company decided Commander Shepard, the Normandy crew, and the Reapers were off limits. They wanted to start anew in pursuit of an adventure that would execute the promise of exploration Mass Effect 1 didn't quite deliver. Thoughts of such untapped potential conjured one prequel concept centered on the First Contact Wars, the conflict instigated by humanity's first run-in with aliens. BioWare dropped the after Hudson questioned the audience's preferences in late 2012 and learned most wanted a sequel to the trilogy. Similar talks amongst focus groups and BioWare staff echoed the same sentiment. Still, the theme of Contact lingered. Game director Gerard Leone, the creative director behind two of Beanox's Spider-Man games, molded the Contact concept into what became the fourth Mass Effect entry's main conceit. Leone thought it made sense if during the events of the trilogy, the Citadel Council devised a contingency in case Shepard's assault against the Reapers went south. This secret plan birthed the Andromeda Initiative, which sent 100,000 colonists from various alien races to the distant Andromeda galaxy. Pathfinders within the expedition would be tasked with finding habitable worlds for the refugees, safeguarding the Milky Way species from certain extinction. Another Leone-crafted concept envisioned the Andromeda setting over of explorable planets built via procedural generation. From 2013 through 2014, Mass Effect Andromeda, in its earliest phase, bore a lot in common with a game that hadn't yet been announced, No Man's Sky. The pre-production team tinkered with prototypes where the playable hero captained a starship, then landed on planets to pilot a ground rover in search of habitable environments. One Kotaku source remarked that simulating the thrill of really exploring space constituted the focal point of Montreal's steep ambitions, but obstacles regularly stifled progress. For starters, figuring out how to weave BioWare-specific storytelling into playable spaces made by algorithm proved challenging. Technical woes caused the most formidable trials, however. Too many developers struggled with the procedural generation. Level designers had terrain generation software World Machine helping them along, yet large swaths of the team were out of its depth. And it didn't help that multiple departments were light on resources, an issue exacerbated by those same crews lacking the requisite manpower. The Frostbite engine only made matters worse. Prior to Dragon Age Inquisition, a role-playing game had never run on Frostbite. Inventory management, tracking party members, and other functions associated with the genre weren't possible until Dragon Age engineers made the necessary adjustments. Still, the Mass Effect Andromeda engineers had to graft a few features onto Frostbite's existing inner workings, including an animation rig. Hosting large maps also went beyond the engine's capabilities, as it had long been accustomed to locales that ran no bigger than 100 kilometers by 100 kilometers. Even installing save game features resulted in unforeseen technical difficulties. In spite of the hassle they faced, some Andromeda developers looked back fondly on that first year of pre-production. The possibilities seemed endless. Things took a turn in 2014, partly a byproduct of the enduring rift between the Edmonton and Montreal outfits. Reportedly, Edmonton staff questioned whether Andromeda had a strong enough vision. Meanwhile, a number of Montreal employees believed their colleagues at the sibling studio were stealing ideas and staff members to bolster projects like Dragon Age Inquisition and
I hope
Anthem.
you have a great
2014 further
take
marked the
care
period in
and have
which
a good night
BioWare experienced
as
an
well,
exodus of top talent. After 16 years, Casey Hudson left the company in August, citing a desire to hit the reset button and move on from BioWare. Gerard Leone followed shortly thereafter. Series veteran Mac Walters took over as creative director in his stead. Roughly a dozen other developers exited the Montreal studio before the year concluded, gutting the animation department, which never refilled those vacant roles. The troubles besetting Mass Effect Andromeda had only just begun.
Have you with us?
It's great to be talking again.
It is. I know you've been in hiding for a little while. We spent a lot of time together on Mass Effect 3 with Casey, you and the team up there.
Mac Walters' to creative lead denoted a directorial shift. Though he brought a new vision to the table, established details such as the Andromeda setting, colonist theme, operation-focused gameplay held firm. Even Leone's push for procedurally generated planets stuck around long after Walters entered the fray. It just so happened that the seasoned Mass Effect writer didn't inherit a fully functioning project. On the contrary, pre-production on Andromeda had gained little headway by the end of 2014, since Montreal struggled with executing the ideas fostered during Year 1. Combat came along nicely, and prototypes for the Nomad ground rover ran like a dream thanks to Frostbite's familiarity with hulking armored vehicles. The problem lay nestled in the fact that no one found driving around planets very fun. Not to mention the team's tools and pipelines were so far behind schedule that there existed no vertical gameplay slice or proof of concept to show for almost 2 years' worth of effort. Procedural generation remained a thorn in everyone's side to boot, such that one backup plan involved resurrecting the trilogy's galaxy map and populating it with a limited number of handcrafted alien worlds. These setbacks persisted throughout 2015, forcing a pivot in which leads opted to scale down from hundreds of explorable planets to 30. World Machine would still generate some environments, but handcrafted content returned in full. Before long, the number was slashed again, going from 30 to about half a dozen explorable planetary bodies. Confusion swept through Andromeda's development staff, the vast majority of whom were uncertain of which content remained intact and who was expected to work on what. The story, cinematics, and level design all fell victim to the overhaul, thereby further upending the production schedule. Since the narrative crew spent so much time in pre-production drafting big-picture ideas, the likes of the Ryder Clan and Meridian Space Station sequence survived every stage of the process. Yet, in-game quests hadn't been locked in, and neither had the dialogue. Ex-developers later claimed the writing present in the final version of Andromeda had been penned in the 2 years ahead of release. Speaking with Kotaku, some sources credited Walters for whipping the project into shape, setting the stage for a mad rush that culminated in the preponderance of the RPG being built inside the 18-month period between late 2015 and March 2017. Not everyone shared this sentiment. There were Edmonton staffers who considered Andromeda a directionless mess in need of a rescue operation, whereas a contingent of Montreal workers viewed the Walters-led directorial shift as BioWare HQ trying to seize control of their project. Either way, not every bump in the road could be smoothed over after the fact. Collaborating across 3 time zones, in addition to the logistical nightmare of partnering with outsourcing groups from Vancouver and South Africa, compounded the already numerous complexities. Severe crunch similarly heightened the stress in the final stretch, with several staffers calling it the worst crunch of their careers. Unfortunately, constant regression further muddied the last months of production. Time typically spent polishing an experience instead went to keeping it together. Bugs would get fixed, tested, and approved, only to revert back to their problem state a short while later. Such hiccups often surfaced for reasons unknown. Occasionally, the regression stemmed from simple changes like a character modeler revising an NPC's design. A few departments suffered worse than others in the last 18 months, particularly those responsible for audio, effects, and cinematics. Because the whole project spent so long behind schedule, this trio of teams couldn't wrap up their own work until much later than usual. All effects of unforeseen technical woes and a pre-production cycle that failed to hit meaningful milestones in a timely fashion. So hectic were these times that EA and BioWare briefly transitioned senior Dragon Age leadership away from the project that eventually launched under the Veilguard subtitle. Dragon Age executive producer Mark Dara dubbed it an incredibly dangerous strategy brought on by EA's alleged disinterest in BioWare. And yet, no semblance of disorder ever reared its head in the marketing cycle. From the outside, Mass Effect Andromeda seemed to welcome fans, new and old, to naught but another memorable spacefaring adventure.
Acceleration increasing.
No kidding!
Developers followed up the surprise November 2012 announcement of Mass Effect panel at PAX East in March 2013, where Casey Hudson noted the next chapter would offer something fresh and new. Barring Hudson's subsequent departure from the studio over a year later, updates of consequence were scarce until EA's E3 2015 press conference. There, BioWare officially unveiled Mass Effect Andromeda in a teaser trailer featuring an unknown soldier clad in the elite N7 armor most associated with Commander Shepard. A blog post from BioWare GM Aaron Flynn and Montreal executive Yannick Waugh captivated franchise faithful with talk of combining the best parts of every installment in their attempt to expand the definition of what you should expect from a Mass Effect game. Holiday 2016 served as the intended window when PC, PS4, and Xbox One users would experience it for themselves. BioWare later postponed the RPG to March 2017, citing a need for the right amount of time to make sure we deliver everything the game can be and should be. The delay hardly slowed Andromeda's momentum from a public-facing standpoint. Behind-the-scenes footage and gameplay appeared at press events, developers gave interviews at every opportunity, and Game Informer covered it extensively for the magazine's December 2016 issue. The anticipation proved infectious as hopeful players learned of the return of romances and the highly regarded loyalty missions that debuted in Mass Effect 2. Alien races like the Asari and Turians also garnered plenty of attention throughout the marketing cycle. New species like the Andromeda Galaxy's Ket occupied the center of attention in their own right. Despite Mass Effect 1 developers internally questioning whether they could rely on aliens on an emotional level in terms of storytelling, non-human species had become the cornerstone of the IP. That thinking drove the creation and evolution of never-before-seen races, who needed stark differentiators from their Milky Way counterparts. The Ket then protected themselves with organic armor, while species from the trilogy had always worn gear modeled after industrial designs. It was all fans needed to speculate about where the narrative in another galaxy 600 years removed from Shepard's heroic sacrifice would take them. But the wonder and curiosity devolved into disappointment and censure when EA Access subscribers unlocked Andromeda 5 days ahead of its March 2017 due date. Early impressions predominantly highlighted the game's bizarre character animations, inspiring viral memes that mocked stiff facial movements and comical walking glitches.
You have the scanner. Quick, Ryder, use it to locate the vault. Sam, is there an off switch to this horror palace?
Review embargoes lifted the day before launch didn't ease concerns. When all was said and done, the Metacritic score on PS4, the platform with the most critical reviews, settled in at 71. User critiques were far harsher, lambasting everything from the bugs and animations all the way to what longtime fans perceived as inferior writing when held up against the original trilogy. Veteran Dragon Age producer Mark Dara later described Andromeda as a deeply flawed game at launch, but argued it never got a fair shake, having shared a release window with better reviewed titles. He lamented on Twitter that, as a result, even systems that were pretty decent got scrutinized against superiorly implemented ones. Fair shake or not, Andromeda's poor reception swiftly impacted the Montreal operations. Electronic Arts relegated the office to a support studio in May 2017, transferring some staffers to EA Motive while others were split between BioWare's Anthem and Dragon Age The Veilguard endeavors. As for Mass Effect itself, BioWare shelved the property in the same month, though Andromeda's single-player campaign received continuous support through July. Post-release patches addressed gameplay bugs and animation hitches. One notable update even introduced a new romance option for the male playable character Scott Ryder. And smaller updates kept the multiplayer suite in play with balance adjustments and performance improvements through the end of 2018. By then, EA Motive had absorbed BioWare Montreal, a final nail in the coffin for the beleaguered Mass Effect Andromeda developer.
I thank you too. I see you begin to understand.
Not likely.
Andromeda's shortcomings axed any chance the game had of receiving DLC or a sequel, regardless of driving year-on-year revenue growth for EA during its release quarter. Mark Dara claimed minor commercial victories hardly mattered for the publisher. In a video offering insight into critical shifts within BioWare, Dara stated EA's indifference stemmed from having little to gain from the success of Andromeda and little to lose from its failure. Apparently, BioWare's parent company stood to gain more when the studio prioritized Anthem, a potential golden goose that could have generated a recurring revenue stream had it not failed. Although the fourth Mass Effect arguably scarred the property's blemished legacy in certain respects, the Legendary Edition remaster that collected the trilogy and most DLC in one package spiked resurgent interest in 2021. Old fans returned to experience the wonders of days gone by, and newcomers took their first steps aboard the Normandy starship. And, should everything go as planned, at least some members of the Normandy crew may one day fly again. BioWare revealed the next Mass Effect at the 2020 Game Awards ceremony alongside a trailer teasing the brand's return to the Milky Way galaxy. The appearance of series mainstay Dr. Liara T'Soni sent discourse about the first look into overdrive, especially in light of one frame showing the Asari archaeologist finding an N7 emblem in the snow. In the ensuing years, BioWare continued drip-feeding vague pieces of information, 10 7-day celebrations honoring the franchise included new imagery replete with hidden details and cryptic audio of Liara questioning how she could have possibly missed a nameless discovery.
I can see it. How did we miss this? Exactly. The council will be furious.
To the chagrin of fans, progress on what's tentatively called Mass Effect 5 has proceeded at a snail's pace. The project hadn't left pre-production as of February 2025 based on comments from project director Mike Gamble. This update followed a Bloomberg report concerning BioWare losing half its staff in the wake of Dragon Age The Veilguard's underwhelming sales performance. Oddly enough, The Veilguard didn't ship without enduring familiar hardships. Members of the Mass Effect 5 team started helping the Veilguard get over the finish line in 2023. Such assistance reportedly went far beyond providing extra manpower, given that sources told Bloomberg the collaboration stoked the long-standing bitterness between BioWare's Mass Effect and Dragon Age verticals. The latter group long believed they were comparatively disfavored in the eyes of Electronic Arts, so Mass Effect developers asserting their dominance by altering the Veilguard's systems and content wasn't well received. With the overall headcount diminished to fewer than 100 employees, BioWare now operates as a one-game studio for the first time in company history. Its focus rests squarely on Mass Effect 5. But who can say when players should expect to go hands-on, or what the actual experience may entail? Since debuting, Mass Effect has stimulated wonder through crafty storytelling presented in video games, tie-in novels and comics, and the acclaimed Sam Hulick and Jack Wall composed musical score. Inside of a single console generation, the studio, known for deepening ancient Star Wars mythos, managed to create a different space opera, wherein players controlled the hero's destiny, made universe-altering decisions, and experienced love, heartbreak, and everything else in between. It stands to reason, then, that in spite of missteps here and there, the soul of the franchise will rise to the fore again. Whether or not the fictional commander it made famous will tag along remains a mystery. There may yet be more story to tell from that particular perspective. BioWare, through the Stargazer, made it clear. Some of the details have been lost in time. But no matter what happens, the story of the legend persists.
You exist because we allow it, and you will end it.
The Reapers are still out there.
And it's up to us to stop them.
I thought you were dead. I am assuming direct control.
Here they come!
Anybody got something to eat? Proud of you.
Did it.
There's hope at least.
Ryder, now! We've got to go!
I can see the network. It's life.
Wow, that's a great video session right now.
Thank you for watching our video. We'd like to take this time to thank, by name, the generous Patreons who have pledged to our Hall of Fame reward tier. Go Cobra 2013. Ice Cold Water $1. Karu. Sauerkraut. Shuan Chinwin. Fat Green Dragon. And those currently subscribed to our producer reward tier. Dave Oshry. Jaguar Knot.
Okay,
DCX
I paused this
NG.
right here because I mean this is going to mention all the patrons right now, so I don't stop it immediately. I don't want to share. I mean, it's a great video. It's a great video say about the the Mass Effect series. I mean, it was a great from the beginning. All those games that evolved, and of course, there also was for first there's the rise and fall of the game franchise, how it evolved, and anything happened where the game developers Bioware developed the games and so on. And yeah, I mean, it happens. Um, that's interesting thing that we need to learn it from the beginning to the end. So yeah. Before I go, before I end the stream, I want to show you guys something about what I'm going to do this week with the request. And of course, I'm going to post a video that I already finished. Just let me check this real quick for a second. For a second. Okay, so okay, it is. I want to share something. Okay, right here. As you can see, I'm going to make a render from some person that he requested that to do a render. So I figured this week I'm going to be making these kinds of requests right here. But instead of making requests on MMD, I'm going to do a request, a render or made with Social Maker. And this one right here has an SFR version of Sonia. But I'm not going to share in public because the guy who requested me, he told me to not tell anyone about the model that I got. So this model is going to be private, and I use it on my hand. But I will show you when the request is done. So I'll call you guys in a bit when it's done. So yeah, that's the I'm going to show it for this short demonstration right here. And yeah, I think that's all what I'm going to show you. Now is 10:21 while I in my time. So now we already passed 2 hours. I think it's that's it for tonight. And I promise I will bring more stuff. I mean, I got plan to broadcast more streams and record more live streams from now on. Despite my internet is a bit mid, sometimes it gets a bit laggy and it has some issues, but still stable um, at this moment. So I hope in the next live stream we have the same rhythm and everything goes well at the end. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end this stream for now. So thank you for having me. Stay with me to the end. So and I promise that I will bring more stuff to come, and make posting renders, making more SF animations, and of course MMD as well. And I will bring more projects to come, and I want to bring. So yeah, that's it for today, and I hope you guys enjoy this live stream. And I'll see you in the guys in the bed. See you in the next one, and take care of yourselves. Have a good night, and yeah, see ya. This base going back to the cave. Well then, have a good night, and see you guys later. Take care, guys.